today I'm at CRISP offices in Nantes with Baptiste and Valerian. Hello Baptiste, hello Valerian.
Hello. Hi.
So we are going to talk about CRISP, obviously, and also about product-led growth. So maybe we should first start with what is CRISP, what is it that you offer, and what does your product do?
Okay, so basically CRISP is a messaging platform allowing companies, e-commerce company, SMBs, to connect with their customers using chat. So you can add a live chat on your website, you can plug your emails, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, WhatsApp, etc. This way you can centralize all your customer messaging into one platform. And this way, when customers have issues, you can reply using one platform.
Okay. And when was the company created?
CRISP was created 5 years ago. So we started CRISP when we were students in the engineering school.
Okay.
And we started at school, and then we started to have our first users, and we went from 10 to 100 to thousands, and now we have more than 200,000 people, 2,100 companies using the product.
Okay.
And we have around 100 million people using the chat every month. Like 100 million, it's quite a lot.
And that was my next question, but how many people are you working at CRISP?
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
So we are almost 10
people.
At CRISP. So 3 of us are technical.
Okay.
We have someone at the marketing, and we have a large customer support team because we need to handle a lot of customers, support a lot of
so 6 people,
customers.
pretty much.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Okay. So with 10 people, you are having 200,000 customers and 100,000 million users per month on your chat boxes.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the overall process of shipping new features on your product? How do you step everything? Does it all come from feedback? Do you have your own ideas? How do you do that?
Yeah, so it's very simple. Since the start, actually, we have some periods of feature rush. So we have like an idea, like we want to push to the market, or we have customers suggesting large features. So we work on a big feature. So we kind of have all our brains on this feature for like a month or two, and then when we release it, we go into like some kind of maintenance, bug fix and small improvement mode for a few months, and then we alternate between those cycles.
Okay.
This way your brain is kind of focused on a single task when it's a big task.
Okay. So
and there is another big thing is we dog food our own product. So every day CRISP users can chat with Valerian and I, and obviously all the CRISP team, and we know all the CRISP features and what customers need at the moment because they ask us questions and their needs. And also, as we are CRISP users as well, we know what the product needs as well. So almost every week we add small features that are super useful for teams. For instance, we have a CRM inside CRISP, and so you can filter users, for instance, who pay more than $50 per month, and it's possible using CRISP. But before we had to type plan price greater than 50, but you need to remember the key plan_price. And we had it a way when you just start with P and boom, it suggests automatically plan price. It's a small thing, but at the end of the day, it makes the product even better for everybody. And it starts by using the product for ourselves, but because we are Crisp users, but it's also good features for other Crisp users.
Okay, so efficiency mainly. So you have 1 month when you do all the development of the new feature, then you release it, and then you have 1 more month of updating, improving, fine-tuning it. Until then, it's released forever, or sometimes you have to remove something and you say, no, it's not working.
No, we rarely removed features actually because it's based on customer needs almost. So we have a lot of customers asking for a lot of things. So we kind of put it in a matrix and we see where the features which are at the top. We pick them up and we implement them.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of small features for very specific needs. But those kind of specific needs will be addressed soon because we are working on a new system at Crisp, which is called the plugin marketplace.
Okay.
So we will let external developers, for instance, developers in a company which has a specific need, build a plugin and release it on the platform, either public or private. So let's say you have a CRM company with like a very small custom base and
like a shitty CRM built in the 80s.
But still, you have users using Crisp and they want to integrate with you, but we don't have like the time and to implement it for such a small user base. So still, those developers can implement a plugin integration and publish it on the platform.
Integrators.
And another thing is bugs at Crisp and user experience is more important than everything else. So we never consider when we build a feature, it's never done forever. Because you release a feature and obviously the feature is not 100% perfect. It's gonna have small bugs. You missed small stuff in the feature and people want to complain about that a lot. Every day we have people talking about small bugs. I mean, it can be 1% of the users who experience a small bug, but on 200,000 people, 1% is quite a lot. And it's very important to improve the features maybe you made a year ago or 2 years ago, because a feature is never done at Crisp.
Okay, so that was my next question. How do you manage bugs? How many do you have? How do they go through your workflow? Do you fix them as fast as you can? What do you do?
So at Crisp, we do what we call customer support driven development. It's like a buzzword, but the idea is super simple. Okay. So we develop the product with in mind that if we do bugs, people want to complain about that, and the customer support are gonna be crowded of questions about bug, and we don't want that because we want to optimize every single step of the support. So we code the features in mind with the fact that we don't want people talking to the support. So we don't want bugs. So when we have a bug, it's more important than everything else. So we solve the bugs every day. And as developers, we talk with customers on the platform. This way we can feel the pain and we know that it's super important for the team and the customers, so we want to solve the bugs.
Yeah, adding to that, since we build the features ourselves, we manage the servers ourselves. If we do bugs, we know we will be woken up at night, so it's a great incentive, not to have any. To be clean in what you do at first, even if it takes a bit more time, because you will win a bit of quality of life afterwards. So it's kind of the balance.
Yeah, and there is another thing is many teams and most SaaS businesses want to separate customer support from the rest. So you have the developers, you have the marketing, you have the sales, and the developers. So the product managers want to ask the developers to implement features. The developers will implement the features. For sure, they will do bugs. And then the customer support will have to take care about all the user complaints. And probably they're going to stack all the bug requests in a Trello or Jira or whatever, and it's going to be solved in 3 months. It's a big problem. And I'm sure that if developers would talk to users directly on the customer support, they will solve the bugs way before. Because when you talk to 50 users having the same bug every day, you think, okay, there is a big problem and it's not efficient for the team because every day we need to repeat the same thing. So you just solve the bug immediately and the problem is gone, just gone.
Okay. So as you mentioned, you have no product manager or product owner at Crisp, right? And developers do also the support, the customer support.
Yeah.
Okay. Do customer support do also some development sometime or not?
No, they don't do development, but they are part of them is technical aware, so they are able to provide debug the integration of a customer.
Okay.
So they are able to submit some code, but it's like a client facing. It's not they don't modify our code base.
Okay, that's quite impressive.
But it's just adding to that. It's important that everyone in the company has a sensitivity for like code and development and understanding of it.
Okay. So on the same topic, I imagine that when you have bugs, then you fix the bugs, but then you also have to update the documentation, the user documentation. How do you do that? What tool do you use? How long does it take you to do it?
So
do the customer support do it, or does the developer, or both?
No, actually, when you touch something in Crisp, you're responsible for the whole like chain. So we do use our own help desk system, so Crisp Acknowledge, to document our own product. So everyone in the team is able to edit articles. And so if I modify something in which affects, for instance, a system of Crisp, which is documented, I do modify the article.
And we use Notion as well, which is a super good product internally. So all the internal knowledge is on Notion. So it's mainly internal stuff, some tricks, because sometimes you have people who, like 10 people per month who gonna complain about a specific thing. So you need to have some documentation internally. And everything else is, as Valerian said, the documentation on help.crisp.chat, which is powered by Crisp as well. And finally, we do a lot of videos on YouTube. So we do demos and tutorials about Crisp, and we upload it on YouTube. And videos are great because sometimes you have some features who are a bit more complex or things you need to set up, like installing Crisp on a CMS, etc. And you can take the time to do a video. It can take an hour to record the video, but it's gonna save a lot of time to the support team because users just need to watch the video, and it's way easier to see a video and to see the whole process to set up something rather than ask a human how to do that.
Yeah, or read a tutorial. How many languages do you support on Crisp?
So we do. It's a good question because we are maybe one of the first customer support tool, which is so international. So we do have more than 50 languages on the chat box. Then we do also translate our apps, which is a bit more work, but still it's important. So we do support most languages in Europe.
Okay.
English, all the Latin America is supported. And then we also translate our sub-product, so the help desk is translated as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we so when the process is very simple for the chat box. It's when somebody speaks a language which we don't support yet. They can usually they are interested to help translate, so we give them the translation file that do it, and it's a great value for them because usually there are a lot of them are free users, and so it's kind of a exchange, a give back, and for them it builds value for us too. So it's good, and this translation is maintained by users.
Okay, so you internally only do the English version. In the French probably.
Yeah, more than 55 languages on the chat box.
And all the other languages are maintained by users.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Except for some main languages and the translation of our apps, which are a bit bigger, so we need to hire people to do them.
Okay.
But the chat box is
and you
kind of owned by the user.
Okay.
Yeah, but translations is a big part as well of our strategy because especially American companies think that everybody in the world speak English, but it's totally not accurate. So it's very important for us that the chat widget is translated in every language because we are in France and many users or the users of our customers don't speak English sometimes. So it's very important that the chat obviously is translated in French. And for the same reason, the chat is translated in 55 languages. And the Crisp app as well is translated in 12 languages. And we did that because sometimes the customer support agents don't speak English. And they can do mistakes about the Crisp settings, etc. And if they do mistakes, they will probably talk to our customer support.
Okay.
So we like to translate Crisp in their language, and we translate Crisp in most languages. This way, the users are really confident with our interface, and they use it properly.
Yeah, and adding to that, it's not an easy task because some languages are written from right to left, and so we need to adjust our interfaces to support both directions. And so when we release a new feature on the chat box, for instance, we always have to think about the right to left support. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's completely opposite.
Yeah, and we have to to think in a different way and to make some visual optimization.
Okay. So you mentioned Notion. I guess you use another tool for translation management. How many tools in total do you use at Crisp? Do you want to add more? Do you want to remove some?
In terms of core product management?
In terms of core or external tooling that you can use like Notion or stuff like that?
Yeah, we have all the tools related to hosting, so I won't quote them because Cloudflare and everything, CDN. But to manage the product, we do have, for instance, PoEditor to manage the translation, Notion for the customer support. There's a lot of small tools we use. So maybe like 10 tools in total for the product.
Okay.
But yeah, the idea is not using external tools. The idea is, for instance, to translate. It's just a mindset. Translating your app is a mindset. It's not about using a specific tool. How we started translating Crisp is basically putting each language in a JSON file. So all developers are super familiar with JSON, and we are still using it on Crisp. And initially, we were just sharing the JSON files to users. Most of them were developers.
On GitHub or something like that?
No, you just share the file via email or whatever. You share the file, the user translate the file. He wanna go back the file to you by email. You upload the file in your code and you get the thing done. But yeah, when we started to have more and more languages, we needed to have a tool to manage that. And yeah, we used the PoEditor, which is a system where we upload the JSON files on PoEditor, and it makes an easy interface for user translating Crisp. They just need to use PoEditor to submit translation. It's way easier.
And at first, our user base was mostly technical, so they were confident with editing the JSON directly. But now we need to have this tool, for non-technical contributors.
Okay. So how far do you plan and anticipate things at Crisp? I mean, do you plan over a week, a month, a year, more?
Yeah, so it's a 6 months planning.
Okay.
We kind of know where we want to go. It's like we have a mission, which is make customer support a commodity for small businesses.
Makes customer support great again.
Because traditionally customer support tools were super expensive and were only used by medium and large corporations. But now, with the COVID and everything, the business is moving online, and we have a lot of small companies requiring this tool, and they are not willing to pay like $1,000 a month.
And they want something easy.
Yeah.
Like the Apple for the customer support.
Yeah, like Messenger, all the tools they use as consumers. We want to move the same experience into the business.
All right. Because it all seems very easy and fun and no problematic, but I think that you still have problems or difficulties to face. What are the biggest difficulties that you face today at Crisp?
Yeah, I can relate to that because I manage the infrastructure, and since it's a high growth company, and we take, like, our servers receive a load, like the request that come from our users' website. So if you install Crisp on a website that has 1,000 visitors a month, we receive those 1,000 visitors as well. So we need to support that. So we have a huge traffic. So it's nearly at 100 terabytes a month. So we need to add more servers. We have a system which I think we built the right way from the beginning. We use a microservice architecture. So we are capable of scaling some parts of the system, like the system handling the messages, the API and everything, in them like separately. So when we see a load, an abnormal load on a system, we can scale it without touching the rest. And so this minimizes downtime, outage, and everything.
Is it automatic, the scaling?
No, it's not automatic.
Okay.
I'm not super confident currently with the automatic scaling tools, and it's, if you do it the automatic way, sometimes you don't look at problems. You just add a resource because server resource is cheap, but still you have sometimes performance issues.
Yeah,
and looking at the problem is very important.
And when you look at the charts of the growth and the traffic resources on Crisp, you can see that it's pretty mainline. Because as we have users everywhere in the world and many different kinds of companies from Asia, Europe, or the US, if you look at the traffic, it's super stable, like every time. And as we do have a lot of traffic, we have the extra resources to handle spikes. And the growth tends like that, so you can anticipate when we need to rack servers. But as Valerian explained, as we push super hard the limits of the growth, the customer experience, etc., we face a lot of traffic, obviously, and what could happens every time. I mean,
And so to manage all that, we built our own status page monitoring system.
Okay.
So we kind of have like the like a nuclear reactor like monitoring system with a lot of lights, like green lights, like maybe 200 lights. And if something gets nasty, it gets red, and if it's lasting, the system automatically like wakes up us at night using like old Nokia phones.
Okay, reliable.
Yeah. So for instance, it rang tonight, so like this night. So I woke
and you
up.
have one light per microservice.
We have one light per unit of microservice. So if like an API microservice is replicated like 20 times, we have 20 lights, and every light has to be green. And if it's orange, we have some performance issues. So we better look at it.
And the idea is to monitor things before they break. So most users at Crisp never experience any problem because we take care of the problems before it happens.
Okay, so the infrastructure is basically a challenge, probably not a difficulty per se, because it seems that you have managed it. But
I need to assume it's to tell you it's a hard job.
I can imagine.
We had some sleepless nights and weekends. You work on the week, but you also work on the weekend sometimes.
So hypergrowth also brings its loads of difficulties.
But I think we took the issues very seriously. When they were small, and so right now we are kind of like crash free, so we can sleep much better than 1 year ago at night.
That's good. Now, talking about the product-led growth philosophy, how do you consider this? Is it bullshit? Is it mainstream? Is it interesting? Do you eat from that or no?
So most of the Crisp growth comes with the users. I mean, most of our traffic is organic, so it's word of mouth and referral essentially. So referral is about the powered by Crisp link on the Crisp chat box, and the other part is users talking about Crisp to friends, other companies, colleagues, etc. So all that stuff is led by product. The product is in. So it's very important to have a good product, have a good customer support, good user experience, because when the users are happy with your product, they will stick with your product. And when they stick with your product and when they are happy with that, they just talk about Crisp everywhere. So every day on Twitter, on social media, and we have people we don't know talking about Crisp, and we like that.
I guess so. Okay. Now that you have 5 years of history, when you look back and watch it, what are the biggest and most impactful decisions that you've made on Crisp that now you don't regret and say that was a good idea? Probably apart from the infrastructure thing, which seems to be a good idea.
This one is quite easy because it's I think we both agree. It's like a V2 version of Crisp. So we the first year of Crisp, we kind of focused on building a product. It was free. It was a very simple customer support app with a chat box. It was working well, but we lacked a lot of features required by paid customers. And so we decided, we were still students at the time. And so we decided, let's fucking do it. We have to, build a new Crisp, like not from scratch, from the server side, but from the user point of view. We had to remake all the apps, the chat box, everything was to be brand new. So we built the V2, which is the kind of groundwork from today's V3, which users use. So we built the foundation for all the features that made our success.
Okay.
So
and how long did it take to rebuild everything?
It was super fast.
It was fast because for the work we made, it was 5 to 6 months to
Yeah, but with
a winter.
12 hours per day or maybe more.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a full winter, and we. When did we release V2?
On March 2017.
Yeah,
All right.
March.
Okay. So that's
So we started in October.
okay.
Released in March.
Very good. So that's one decision. Do you have more?
So about the product, the thing is, with Valerian, we are not afraid about completely changing something. So the crisp product, the interface was changed maybe 4 times, and every time, sometimes the user never saw that something changed. And it's good, but internally everything changed because we did that for technical reasons sometimes. For instance, a year ago we released the Crisp 3 version, which was a big major rework. It took more than a year to recode Crisp from scratch. So before we were using AngularJS, which was super legacy. We were using AngularJS from day one, and we maintain the AngularJS version for years, and we need to change that. And we moved to Vue.js. We changed the Crisp interface as well, and it was a super good move because now it's way easier to maintain Crisp every day. We changed all the stuff on Crisp quite a lot. For instance, the mobile apps, we recoded it maybe 3 or 4 times to make it like as we wanted to be. And with Valerian, we are not afraid with sometimes not having the best decisions. I mean, we will never argue about a specific point. I mean, we just release it, and if it's not doing the job, we're gonna change it or remove it. Or
Okay. So an advice to give to let's say a creating SaaS company would be, let's make a whole revamp. Every 1-2 years.
Afraid about when you have
Rebuilding
something
everything.
legacy, just change it and make it good.
Entirely.
Yeah.
It's like just fucking do it. Like if you feel something needs to be changed, just trash it and redo it. It's like doing a SaaS startup which has users and it's successful and you want to make it grow. It's it's fun maybe like the first year, and then it's a lot of hard work. But it's it's the phase is very important when you work hard and it's not as fun, because it's when you build value and you bring like profitability, and so it's a very important phase. You need to.
And what does ring the bell to rebuild something from the ground? Is there a strong signal at some point
when you start to open the Git repository and it smells shit? I mean, it's like that. When you don't want to open the project and oh wow, it was super complicated to maintain. I don't want to do that, and it was a bit like that with the end of the Crisp 2 version, because it was super complicated to change because we had many different features inside, and when we started to recode it to the Crisp 3 version, it was hard because we needed to keep every existing feature and to make it working the same without the bugs, etc., to make the user experience as same as before and even better. But by recoding the Crisp app, as we did it before, we knew what problem we gonna face, and it was easy to code the features.
Okay.
Yeah, adding to that, to put it into context, when we built the V3, we were setting up this office in Nantes, in France. We were hiring people, maintaining the V2 version, so we had a lot of growth, and we had to like fix bugs and still work on the V3. We had scalability issues on the infrastructure, so it was everything you had to do at the same time. We even slept in the office for the first month, because when we came into the city, we focused on finding an office to scale the business and not a flat.
And we delayed the Crisp 3 release. Maybe we delayed it for 6 months.
Yeah.
But we don't care, because when we released the Crisp 3 version, it was like super smooth. We deployed it, and we were
At your place.
in our place eating, and we just deployed the crispy version, and boom, it worked. And the user, we didn't tell the users that something changed, and immediately some users submitted messages by email or Twitter. Oh wow, Crisp, something changed. It's now super fast. I love it.
Oh, that was a good signal then. Now, in terms of prioritization, when you have new features to add to an existing version, V2, V3, do you have an open roadmap? Do you make upvotes from users? Do you take your own decision here internally? How do you manage that?
We don't have an open roadmap anymore. We just tell users, when they request it, and we know we will build it. So yeah, as I said previously, we take decisions by putting it into a spreadsheet and counting the occurrences of users asking it. We take the contact details of each user requesting it. So when we actually build it, we have a kind of a newsletter to send them, for each feature we release. So yeah, that's as simple.
Okay. Now let's talk about the COVID-19. Did it have any impact, good or bad, on your business?
Yeah, so it was an interesting period for us, because for 2 months, the development team stopped working on Crisp. So it was a bit special with a friend of us, entrepreneur as well. We set a goal to build an open source respirator. And so we focused on it for 2 months. We succeeded actually, so it's quite nice. And then we went back to Crisp. And so what we observed when we went back, when we looked at the stats, the company, we got a lot of more small business getting online. So they needed a customer support live chat solution. And so they picked up Crisp. So we had a lot of growth, extra growth from this event. ×2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during 2 months, you were doing a respirator.
Yeah.
And your business doubled pretty much by itself.
Yeah.
Not only by itself, but the people working at Crisp manage it really well. It was tough for them because users and the team know that Valerian and I manage a lot of things at Crisp, from the customer support to the product to the infrastructure, and they had to manage all that stuff on their own. And on our end, we worked on the ventilator project, which, as Valerian told, worked pretty well, because we are the only project who was trialed on humans. I mean, Dyson made a product, Tesla made a product, many different companies made that, but on our end, we succeeded this product, and it was tried on 2 person at the hospital for 24 hours, and now we are building those ventilators for Africa and many different countries.
They are being used.
Yeah, it's a good experience for us as a company as well, for Crisp, because when you build not a product but a machine that makes human breathe and live or die, you really understand what reliability is and what how the life is. And I mean, we are doing a SaaS product, a chat product. We feel that the user experience is super important, but at the end of the day, if we are down for 20 minutes,
Nobody dies.
Yeah, and adding to that, it was super interesting for us because we worked with like different set of roles. So we had engineering, like some engineers, like electrical engineers, like mechanical engineers. We had like people talking to the press. You know, a big team with a lot of people we don't usually work with.
Okay. A way bigger team than usual.
Yeah, and like 200 persons. So we were like 30 on site, and we had a Slack with a lot of people, you know, willing to give their time for, you know, to advise. For instance, if you build like a blower to generate the air to the patient, you have people from specialized companies, engineers that are willing to help you optimize, you know, the parameters of your design, you know, to build the actual product. And so, yeah, and when you say hardware, there's really hard in the name, as you know, everyone says, and it's really a different job, you know.
From the software.
Yeah. So yeah, it was nice for us to discover, you know, this new side.
So can we say that one of the biggest successes of Crisp is being able to have his two CEOs or co-founders working on a side project during COVID and coming back and getting double of users revenue?
Yeah, it's a super good success for all the team, and it changed a lot of stuff internally because from the Crisp team, we started, for instance, to implement the Notion app internally to have all the knowledge, etc. It changed a lot of stuff in a good way. This way, it's more fun to work at Crisp, and we as we face a new growth since the COVID-19, and we are still having a lot of growth since that. We are facing new challenges as well. We need to hire more people, implement some features as well. So yeah, it's quite a super good challenge.
So prior to COVID, you were already a full or fully remote company. You had 5 people here in Nantes, but the rest of the team was elsewhere. Are you going to keep on that way? Is it a good thing? Is it a strong something important for the company?
Yeah, the COVID-19 didn't impact us about the remote, etc. Because with Valerian, we started Crisp by being digital nomads. So we were working in different cities, different countries, and we were renting Airbnb flats and working from there anywhere in the world.
And yeah, to any like entrepreneur, like SaaS entrepreneur, like building in the first months, I would say like being digital nomad is quite interesting because you know, sometimes you run out of ideas when you're sedentary. You know, and it's when you, for instance, when you create a product with new features, with designs, like creativity has to be fueled by somewhere, and by traveling, you know, meeting, you know, new cultures, having working in different co-working spaces around like cities. For instance, when you're in Europe, it's very easy to travel. It's like short trips. You can even take the bus between some countries in Central Europe. And it's actually when we had the most ideas, it's when we traveled. You have like to, when you travel, you have to have stage durations, which are long enough, you know, not to be always in the plane or bus, but still, you know, it's important to travel.
Yeah, and so we've been 2 of us at the beginning and traveling in the world, and then we had those offices in France because we were facing growth and we need to hire people, etc. But now, so 50% of the team is here and 50% of the team is remote. But even for the people who work here, we don't want the offices to be a jail. So if they want to, they can work remote, even in different countries. For instance, Antoine went to New Caledonia before the lockdown, and when the lockdown happened, he worked for New Caledonia for 3 months maybe. And yeah, we don't care, and we still like with Valerian going abroad, and we expect the same for people working at Crisp. And it's good to go abroad sometimes because for instance, at Crisp, sometimes when you go somewhere else, you can have some fresh ideas. When we went to Estonia last year with all the team, we changed some stuff to the product. We have some fresh ideas because when you change your environment, you're wiring your brain in another way. And you start to have some fresh ideas, and you implement stuff, you change some stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were also optimizing for weather conditions because like it was 42 degrees here in North for like 2 weeks straight. So when you are able to travel, you can also like chase the best weather, for
Best
which
conditions.
is optimized for work or mind, mood. So you can chase, like the good season.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah,
So-
and one last thing is Crisp. We really built Crisp, the company, around the remote thing, and it's why when we had the lockdown, we didn't have any impact on the teamwork because, for instance, we don't do meetings in person at Crisp, like never. If you look at our calendars, you see no meetings
Okay.
because we always use asynchronous communication from Slack to emails, and even for the people inside the offices, they talk with Slack. Like when you have a question for a colleague, you submit the question over Slack. This way, your colleague doesn't need to reply immediately. Because sometimes, especially developers, can be super focused. And when you have someone coming to you and, hey, can I ask you a question? I'm coding, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's why asynchronous communication is super important for us.
Don't break the developer focus.
Yeah.
It's important.
Otherwise, you could die.
So, travels, remote work, and asynchronous communication. Is there anything else that is different from the companies that you may know?
Yeah, the thing is, we try to automate everything at Crisp. We like building internal tools to automate stuff. So yeah, for instance, Valerian coded an internal tool called Patrol, allowing everybody in the team, the customer support, the marketing, and developers to solve customers' issue. For instance, we have customers asking invoices to change a specific setting in their account, or having issues with emails or notifications. So yeah, everybody in the team can give an invoice to a customer in a click, can do a refund, or troubleshoot notifications. You need to click on one button and automatically it's gonna troubleshoot a notification. And yeah, and Valerian coded that system, and maybe you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, so Patrol is considered as a sub-product of Crisp. Like it's so big that it took a lot of months to build. So we started before the COVID-19 confinement. And we ended, after the confinement because we had the ventilator project. And so in total, it took us like 4 months to build. It's like a tool which lets customer support, diagnose stuff, change settings of the accounts, initiate refund. Before that, when, for instance, we had a setting to review or a setting to change for a customer, the customer support had to ask us, We would, as developers, access the database, change it. As well, they had access to our Stripe and PayPal accounts. So when they had to initiate a refund, they had to have sub-accounts on those separate platforms. And now we have centralized everything. So all you need, when you join the customer support team, is have logins for Patrol. So everyone has a login with different permission levels. And they can manage everything related to support. And when there's a new need, a new issue on the post, I am able to code it like in a matter of days, a maximum.
Okay, so building your own tooling is key and safer.
Yeah.
And there is another thing is building our own tooling allow us to do things that wouldn't be possible sometimes with existing product. So for instance, at Crisp, we automated everything from the landing page to the sign up, etc. So we don't have any sales at Crisp. So everything is automated. So we try to build the website in a way that visitors are happy with what they see, and then they sign up. Once they sign up, we try to make them to use the product. So we really focus on having a very good onboarding, and this way they will sign up and then use the product and then to pay for the product. So for that we use the ARF framework, which is acquisition, activation, retention, revenue. And it's what we implemented on Crisp with some internal tooling as well. And it's super important, at Crisp to, like, when we take more than 30 minutes per day doing something, we try to automate that.
Okay, so basically you have marketing, you have production, developers, and you have support. Do you think of getting rid of more function or more people because you don't have product manager, designers, you don't have sales? What else could you imagine?
Some roles are not like needed like all the time. So like for instance, if we have a website redesign and we need illustration, we hire like the best freelancer in town, and they do the job like very quickly. And then we use illustrations. So when we have like a very specific needs, which is not like a 5 days a week job, we rely on the best freelancers available. So for instance, our iOS SDK, so we have like a chat box, Crisp chat box, which you can include in your iOS app. So previously it was like the web chat box included in the web view, and now we decided to make it native, and we found like the best iOS freelancer developer in town, and he worked for 2 months, less than 2 months, and he built like a great, amazing product with a clean code. And now we are able to maintain it on the top because we are still iOS developers.
Yeah, and for instance, we don't have any chief financial officer, etc. Many people think that managing a company in France is super complicated. You need extra paperwork, etc. But we tried at Chris to make this automatically. So at the end of the month, automatically we have a CSV export of everything, bank accounts, etc., which goes then to our accountant that is really specialized with startups, and he do all the work. And this way we can just focus on the products, and we don't need to manage the paperwork.
So to add some numbers to what Baptiste said, I'm handling like all those like financials and everything, and it takes me maybe like 20 minutes every month just to review, to like put everything together, and like it lets me like review the numbers, like check the graphs, check the expenses and everything, and then boom, it's sent to the accounting firm, and that's all. It's that easy.
Okay, so maybe that's going to be my last question, but what can we wish for Crisp in the future? More travels? fourth version, new lockdown. What else?
The wish for the product.
Yeah, well, for the company.
Yeah, so we will we will soon start implementing like a big feature, which is a phone system. So we want companies to be able to emit and receive traditional phone system calls, kind of enabling like small call centers. I don't like the word, but like call centers capabilities in Crisp for small companies.
Okay, like Twilio, Airco, stuff like that.
Yeah, but in Crisp. So that's a big milestone for us. I would not say that a new confinement will be great.
No.
But probably we will be back to the respirator product then.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, but yeah, obviously the lockdown changed some stuff on Crisp in a good manner, but we don't forget that people lose their job, and it's a big problem. But yeah, I think the what we can hope for Crisp is succeeding with the growth we face, because we will have more and more users, especially in SMBs. So it's very important that the product is made around them and is still with an easy mindset and not having crowded features everywhere.
Like some users actually request for some enterprise-ish features in the product, but we kind of understand the need. But the problem is when you transform the product to be more like large firm compatible, the issue is that it kind of kicks out all the smaller firms because they look for a simple product to use, much like a B2C product. But we are B2B, so we want to stay on that edge.
So probably the key to product-led growth is simplicity.
Yeah, simplicity.
Okay. Well, we're gonna end on that. Thank you very much, Valerian. Thank you very much, Baptiste.
Thank you.
And we hope you had a great time.